big thanks to Alexi for inviting us today. I'm here with Poshly. We understand that Text by the Bay has a big question and answer component, and Poshly is a business that is completely driven by questions and answers. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we are approaching this sort of large-scale creation of questions and the gathering of the information, which is actually kind of a primal dual relationship, which was a little surprising to me. So why do I have the mechanical Turk up here? It's not because the previous presenter was talking about chess, but we sort of decided to take an approach, a very humanistic approach. So we actually have humans, writers, domain-specific experts writing the questions, because this is the best way to get our users engaged. They know how to engage the users. And then at the same time, because we're creating the content, it makes sense. We sort of know a priori how to extract the implicit meaning out of it. So that's a little bit of the background. Right, so as I said, we're we're a consumer intelligence company. And what that means is we're basically trying to, like I said, engage consumers, and through the content from that engagement, provide a value to brand professionals that will give them some insight into these people. So I'll give you some concrete examples of what we're doing. So what we sort of have, if you go to poshly.com, we have these giveaways, which are at this point, it's primarily the cosmetic industry. We have these products, like makeup, hair products, nail polish, etc. And you can sort of the idea is it's similar to a Nielsen survey where Nielsen actually will pay you to fill out the survey. Well, we give you a chance to win a prize, and then you'll answer some questions. So we try to make the questions fun, engaging, and we sort of have a lot going on with how we sort of generate the questions. It's based on a sort of an ontological graphical model, which I'll get into a little bit. And at the end of the day, we want the insights that we extract from this whole process to be engaging and to power, classical statistical methods and, some machine learning. So one example I came across recently of this whole notion of implicit data versus explicit data is, a data ninja. You'll see if you go for, if you're looking for job ads for data scientists, a lot of places say, are you a data ninja, But to actually train a computer to understand that a data ninja means actually data scientist is sort of non-trivial. So our approach is to sort of just say, hey, let's just change it over by hand in the analog of the cosmetic industry, if that makes any sense. So this is kind of what you see if you log on to Poshly. These are some products that sort of are happening, a few hours ago when I made this slide. These are giveaways. If you click on one, you'll get the opportunity to answer some questions. We have over 1,000 questions in our system, and the questions that are actually selected for you are determined, algorithmically. And we try to sort of fill in. We have an ontological sort of graph of the different sort of human body parts that we try to find like a covering of this graph so that it gives us more complete information. and it can happen algorithmically. So these are some examples. You know, what's your skin type? Do you watch The Bachelor? So like, some of them are kind of just for engagement, and this is sort of the interesting part to me. You know, so if your skin type depends, like what does that mean in terms of an actual data point? You know, or do you watch The Bachelor? Well, that doesn't seem to have anything to do with you know, the cosmetic industry or yourself as a beauty participant. So, but this is in there because our domain-specific experts, they understand the consumer and they know how to engage them. So it's important, and we have logic that, you know, tells you how to extract the information out of this. So here's another one. Are you into nail art? You know, some of these ones I wouldn't imagine. Like if I'm dressing up in costume or celebrating holiday, I like it. So that's, some of these are kind of surprising. How to extract meaning. So the thing is that our subject matter experts, like I hope I've shown at least a little bit, they know how to engage. They know the audience. And we sort of, the challenge is we just kind of like want to unleash that. We want to just allow them to create content and not really have to be constrained too much about what's going on underneath the surfaces, how we're, you know, translating that into features, et cetera. So that's sort of the challenge in building this system. So here's an example of the sort of ontological structure I was mentioning. We have, you can see, you know, we have body, which contains fingernails, lips, armpit, you know. And as we're like constructing questions, we try to fill as much of this thing as we can to get, you know, to get data on an individual. So the logic, also we have other logic to say, okay, if we know you're bald, don't ask questions about, you know, hair. You know, if you don't wear makeup, then you kind of shouldn't, you know, we won't ask you hardly any questions, but so there's a lot going on in the question generation. So then the other side of it is like, okay, we allow our subject matter experts to sort of create whatever they want, and you know, we encourage them to be creative as possible. But then how the hell do we interpret it? You know, and without sort of like building a deep blue model, you know, to interpret anything that they come up with, right? So it's kind of a challenge, and we sort of took a more mechanical Turk approach to it, at least initially. So the challenge is sort of we have very high velocity data. So sometimes we, you know, on People magazine, we get 20 answers a second. So we have to actually build a system that can scale and at the same time be manipulatable by our experts. So sometimes, you know, the information that we're extracting from these answers, it changes based on, you know, where the question shows up in the survey, based on the priority. There's a lot happening, and it's happening at a large scale. So, you know, do you do yoga? What insights can we obtain from that? Maybe we decide, okay, that means you live in an urban area because yoga is kind of big, and then maybe later they say, no, actually, it means you actually live in the suburbs, or, you know, we think you're athletic, and then later on we decide, actually, no, it means you're not athletic, or, you know, whatever. And does it even have anything to do with cosmetics in the first place? So that can change as well. Also, because of that, it might be a low priority question that only shows up for relatively few people. So we need that to sort of have meaning. So we need to sort of map these things to actual implicit insights. So to sort of facilitate that, we want everything to be immutable. We're kind of like building everything is a sparse vector. It's sort of the data structure of choice for kind of all of this stuff, because we can just update the dimensions kind of ad hoc. And it kind of works out. So this is going on there. And at the end of the day, we have these sort of ad hoc dashboards where we can present you with data based on all of these insights that are implicitly gathered from questions that are sort of creatively created. And I think that's it. So, I probably finished a little early, so if you have questions, be happy. Yeah, sure. So we want to sort of cover, so we sort of look at right now we're kind of focused on cosmetics, obviously. And we have this concept of an ontology representing the human body. And we like to kind of cover as much of that as possible. So if we get one question that's about, fingernails, then we don't want the next one to be about, nail strength. So we want to cover the different parts to build a profile. And then we can sort of say, okay, similar people, red hair, if you have red hair and strong nails, and then we can sort of like fill in the other gaps with cluster methods. So we try to sort of have a covering of as much of the graph as possible, if that makes sense.
Okay, so that notion is somewhat determining that this question is not, is it a quantitative thing, or you just basically just say this category?
So there's also this concept of prioritization, which is sort of moving around based on all of our data. So we might have a lot of data on, hair care at this point, and we need more data on something else. So that priority changes. So the questions are changing based on priority and also this sort of graph covering, more or less. Yes, that's part of it. You pick the product, and then the questions are related. So if you pick yeah. No, it's okay. Thanks. Okay. Thanks.